Hi, I'm James. I'm a tech lead here at Fuzzy Labs, and I'm joined here by,
Oscar, I'm a ML Ops engineer in Fuzzy Labs.
and this is the first of our three deep dive Q&As into our SRE agent. In this one, we're going to be talking about the effectiveness of the agent and what it means for it to be useful for the end users. So, Oscar, how do you measure if an agent is actually useful to the person using it?
Measuring whether it's useful is a little bit different to whether it actually gave the right answer. So it might have given the right solution in the response, but if the response is 4 pages long, then it's not really that useful.
So that's the usefulness of the agent. How do you go about measuring if it's actually solved the problem that you've created for it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we have a test set, and then the test sets are basically just errors that we put into our system on purpose.
So in that investigation then, what sort of things did you find? What was the agent good at? What did it struggle with?
So the thing that is the biggest limiting factor for agents is the tools that is available for the agent to use, as well as the prompt. What we find is that there is quite a significant amount of time spent on prompt engineering. So we want a prompt that is generalized enough, but not too specific that it only solve a very specific problem for a specific services. So finding the right balance for a prompt that can look at both system error and application error, for example, is quite difficult. From the result that we got by evaluating the agent on the test set, we found that the agent is really good at solving application errors. So things that it can see from the logs or from our system. The thing that the agent is struggle is when the error is not so obvious. So things like Kubernetes cluster error, someone would normally run some sort of kubectl command, maybe to describe the cluster or node. So our agent uses different MCP servers, and one of the servers is the Kubernetes server, which is still relatively new. So it doesn't have all the tools that the agent would require to solve some of the system errors. So things like describing the node on the cluster, it doesn't have a tool to do that. So how good the agent is directly impacted by the tools available from your MCP servers. If the tools are there, the agent can do a pretty good job at giving you a solution right away.
But the things it struggled with, are they sort of things that a human SRE would sort of find more complex as well, these sort of more multi-step tasks?
Yes, so the more steps that the agent is going to have to take, the more likely that the agent is going to end up just forgetting what it has already done and keep trying to find a tool that can solve the problem according to the plan that it comes up with. But if that tool doesn't exist, it would just keep trying out tools that it's not going to work out for the agent.
Is there anything that we can do to configure the MCP server a bit differently to help with that, or is it an inherent problem in these agents?
One thing that we have been doing to the MCP service we're using now is limiting the server down to a specific set of tools. For example, for the GitHub MCP servers, it comes with like 20 different tools that can do all sorts of different stuff, like creating pull requests, listing issues, committing changes, things like that. But there's no point of giving all the tools to the agent if we know for sure that the agent doesn't really need those tools. If you're just giving more options, making the agent more undetermined, so more likely that it will fail by doing something that it's not supposed to do. So what we have been doing is really trying to pick out a specific set of tools from those servers to limit the chances that the agent is going to make a mistake by using the wrong tool, essentially making the agent more deterministic. So that's one thing we have been doing.
Going back to the deterministic point, do you think that engineers will be able to trust an agent like this if it's in production, based solely on these suggestions, or is there more we need to do to kind of get engineers to trust this and use it as a tool in their day-to-day lives?
Yeah, trust is really a thing that it has to build. So for me, right now, I wouldn't just trust an agent to go and execute some code on a production cluster for me. So I think to start with, it would be a good idea to have the agent send it back to you on something like Slack, and then kind of like having like a testing phase to see whether the stuff that the agent says actually makes any sense. And then once you have the trust like build up from that, you can decide where to go from there next. Might be you want to give the permission to the agent to automatically fix the error for you, so almost like a self-healing system.
Nice. Sounds like it'll save a lot of time. So thanks for joining for this discussion. Our next one's going to be talking to Yaz, and we're going to be discussing the security of agents like this and what we need to do to make sure they're not vulnerable to attacks.